Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show today. I'm really glad you could join us because with us today, we're going to dive into one of my personally favorite topics, which is email automation. If this isn't something you're doing now, well, then shame on you, because doing it could be a 100x to your business, and I say that that's by no means an exaggeration. So with us today is Tom Tate. Now, Tom is the product marketing manager at AWeber. With almost a decade of professional experience in marketing and technology, he educates and engages small business owners and entrepreneurs on the incredible value and opportunity that email marketing and automation provides. At AWeber, Tom manages product education, produces multiple webinars, presents at conferences, and writes blog and website content. Now, outside of AWeber, he's an active member of the marketing community, teaching and guest lecturing at local colleges and universities. Tom, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited. Always love talking about email and always love talking about digital marketing. So this is great.
Well, same here. I'm a big fan of email marketing, and I think I accidentally stumbled into it a long time ago when people didn't understand what we were selling, and it became so painful at point of sale to try to explain all these things. And what we realized was that if we came in and we started pre-educating through email, then when they called us, there was no sale process. It was just a couple questions answered, and a sale took place, which was astonishing. What do you love most about what you do with email marketing?
I love how personal it is. So the inbox, in my opinion, is a very personal place. So email marketing is permission marketing. You'll hear, Seth Godin, who's a marketer, he talks a lot about this. And as a marketer, an entrepreneur, a business owner, it's a huge advantage when somebody gives you permission to be in their inbox, to send them emails. So you've already kind of gotten over that barrier of somebody is saying, okay, I want to hear from you. I want to learn more about you. I want to learn more about what you do, why you do it, how it can help me. I want the value that you can provide. And to get into someone's inbox and having them say like, yeah, give it to me. That's an awesome first step for us as marketers. And then being able to kind of build that relationship over time, really cultivate that goodwill, that trust, as you mentioned. Educate, pre-educate, drip out the content that they need, to get closer to a purchase and get closer to a relationship that's mutually beneficial. It's just a very personal environment, much different than kind of, blasting people with Facebook ads or running a YouTube, pre-roll ad. And I love all those things too as a digital marketer, and they have their place in the funnel. But when it comes down to it, like email is just the coolest, best tool, in my opinion, to build a relationship.
This is where I think a lot of people get lost because so many people are still in the mindset of selling, right? Hard selling. And that's what they're kind of using emails for. And then they are disappointed that it's not working for them. But yet you're talking about emails in the form that I understand them in relation to education. So how do you talk about that? I mean, do you see a lot of your customers do one or the other where they understand the importance of the education part versus just using email to sell?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, I reference a lot of marketers, but Gary Vaynerchuk, I think a lot of people know Gary Vaynerchuk. He offers a lot of great advice, and he had this book that was released, maybe 3 or 4 years ago called Jab, Jab, Right Hook. And the idea there is that you're providing value, and then you're going in with the ask, right? Then you're going in with the sell. And I think that that model works really well with email, where not every email is the hard sell. Not every email is the hard ask. There's an opportunity for you to be a positive, value-driven presence in someone's life, in someone's inbox. And if you do that a couple of times, what you're doing is you're creating equity. You're creating equity with that subscriber, that human being who's on the other end, and then you're earning the opportunity to ask for the sale, right? It might not even be asking for the sale. It might be asking for the consultation call, or asking for 15 minutes of their time, or asking for the next step in their journey towards the sale. So I think like it's a little bit about playing the long game. Which I know a lot of, marketers, salespeople, the long game is challenging, right? It's challenging to commit to it. But I think that if you ask people who have had long-term success, in a lot of cases, it's that long game, that customer journey strategy that really helps build that audience over time and leads them towards that purchase or that relationship where they're a client or a customer.
So it sounds like part of what you're describing is using email to tell the story of the business.
Yeah, tell the story of the business, or tell the story of the problem that your potential customer has, right? Sometimes your customer or potential client, they don't even know the problem that they have until you expose the problem. So introducing the problem and then teasing out the solution and then educating them on, how others have been successful with your product or your service to solve that same problem. These are all things that can be orchestrated over the course of an automated email sequence. And that's something we haven't touched on yet, which is a lot of this can be automated, right? So if you have this sequence that you find is successful with the majority of your customers or prospects, what you can do is you can use that sequence, and all of this is happening automatically through what we typically call like a drip sequence, right? You're dripping emails out over time. So it might start out with telling a little bit about the story of your business or the story of yourself, but then it might lead into seamlessly into what are the problems that your prospect are probably dealing with, right? And then how have you helped others with that same problem overcome it? And you're just getting closer and closer to that point of purchase. But you're doing so in a really honest and ethical way, and you're building a strong relationship with that potential customer or client. And it's just a great way, I think, just to build systems. You're not just sending cold emails out. You're building an automated system to help bring people closer to your solution.
So you're talking about two things that typically aren't mentioned at the same time, which is automation and personalization. So that being said, what are you doing? Like, can you give us an idea of how this looks, for example, with Aweber and your clients, where they're able to get both, where they're able to personalize it, where it really feels personal to the receiving person, but at the same time, they're also able to create this and do it in an automated way?
Yeah, for sure. So it starts with a really strong incentive to join your email list, right? So I always recommend, coming up with that value proposition to get the right people on your email list, right? So if you're a fitness instructor, maybe it's sign up for my 30-day boot camp, right? And what you're opting into, you're putting your name and email address into a sign up form, and you're opting into an automated series of emails over the course of 30 days. It could be one email every third day, or it could be 4 emails over the course of 4 weeks, 1 email a week. It's up to you to determine what you want that content to be. But what you're doing is you're essentially personalizing it at a very broad level, because you're singling out the people who want to become fit or work on their nutrition. So you're personalizing it at the broad level. And then you're automating that series, right? So if you had, improve your credit score in 90 days, you could introduce the same type of educational content and drip it out over 90 days, right? Or 30 days or 60 days, whatever fits your content. And that's kind of at the very basic level, right? So you're attracting the right people by speaking to their problem and inviting them to opt into a solution. And at the end of that road, could be your paid products and your paid services. Or at any point in that road, you might try to pull people out of this kind of free content that you're delivering and then offer something a little bit more robust, which is just a great opportunity to keep them moving towards a stronger relationship with you.
And I've seen this referred to as like a bank account. You can't make a withdrawal if there's not money in the account. You have to make goodwill deposits. It sounds like what you're saying is that, look, bring them in on a course, whatever it may be, whatever this lead magnet may be, then you're coming in and delivering value. And then once you've delivered value, then it's okay to go in and ask them for an action as a consultation or purchase or whatever it may be.
And one other thing that we do, and we see a lot of our users at Aweber do to personalize it even further. So if you're just getting started with email automation, what I just described is probably the best place to get started. It starts with that lead magnet and then enters into an automated series. Your welcome email, which is the first email your subscribers will receive, it typically has the highest open rate and the highest engagement rate. So it's a great opportunity for you to ask your subscribers, your new subscribers, when they're brand new to your list, their excitement level is high, they just opted in, to ask them to take an action. Now, I don't always recommend making that action the sale, right? For all the reasons we just talked about. But one of the cool things that you can do with email automation is you can ask them to click a link that might describe where they are currently in their particular journey, right? So a good example would be if I had an email course on email marketing, I might say, click the link that best describes you. And I might have three options. One might be, I'm brand new to email marketing. I have no idea what I'm doing. The second option might be, I've done a little bit of email marketing, and I have, let's say, 100 email subscribers on my list, around 100 email subscribers on my list. And then the third option might be, I'm an email marketing veteran. I'm looking for ways to 10x my already gigantic list, right? So what we're doing there is we're segmenting or grouping our subscribers based on those clicked links, right? So presumably somebody clicks the link that they identify with. And what you can actually do is you can splinter that automated sequence into 3 separate sequences if you want to. So now that we've really personalized it even further, we can deliver the right course content or the right automated email content that speaks directly to the problems and directly to the solutions that we can offer specific to that self-selection. So I find that to be an incredible way for you to kind of level up your email automation. So if you're doing very basic email automation, kind of creating these triggered, splintered sequences based on clicked links is a really great way to move people even closer to the right product, the right service, the right solution for them, given where they are right now.
Yeah, and that's where that personalization really comes in. So bring them in on one purpose like fitness boot camp, and then you're segmenting the people that want to lose weight and the people that just want to build muscle, for example.
Yep. Yeah, that's perfect. Exactly.
Yeah, and then you're not talking to the people that want to lose weight about the opposite. So that makes sense. And then now I see it. So this is all automated. So I could set up an email. The email says, hey, which one of these are you? You click, then it's almost like choose your adventure when we were a kid, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
Based on that, then they go down that journey, and then you're really specialized to them. Then you're saying it's education, education, education. And then you sprinkle in the call to action. Let's talk, let's consultation, let's sell. That's a pretty well-rounded approach.
Yeah. And also, if somebody, because another thing that you can do with that clicked link is you can tag your subscribers. And you can do this in Aweber, but you can do this in some of the other email service providers too. And what you can do with that tag is you can basically score your prospects. You can say, okay, I have these 3 options. Anybody who clicks on option C, those are the people that I want to talk to right away, one-on-one. In which case you might send them a direct email from your own personal email, right? This is not an automated or triggered email. This might be a flag to say, all right, this is my ideal prospect. This is my ideal customer. So this person has X amount of email subscribers, or this person is looking to do this particular thing. This is a person I want to talk to right now. In which case you might, search for people with that tag, and you might send a direct email to them outside of the email platform, right? The email automation platform, and say, hey, I saw that you were interested in this. I'd love to, get to know you a little bit better, maybe have a 15-minute call. If you're interested, let me know. So it's an opportunity for you to kind of take those really potentially high value prospects out of your service provider and then into kind of this real one-on-one relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge improvement when it comes to efficiency, when it comes to prospecting, because, if somebody comes in for this fitness boot camp, you can call every single one of them to see if they're ready to do something. Or if they click on a link stating they're ready now versus 6 months, well, then you could just know that those are the ones that are ready to go. I mean, it almost eliminates that need to just call to figure out, because you're deploying email to actually do all that prospecting for you. So then you or your sales team are just dealing with the people that are exactly the candidate that you want to talk to.
Yeah, it's great. Like once you get into the data side of it, like you can really unearth a lot of really cool trends, but you could also unearth a lot of opportunities for that one-on-one outreach, whether you have a sales team or if you're doing it yourself. You can really start to pull that out, which is awesome. And then the trends are really cool too. So like I mentioned earlier, this idea of choose your own adventure. So you might be developing products for beginners, right? Like whether you're getting started in fitness boot camp or how to improve your credit score, you might think your audience is interested in this particular type of product or solution. And then you run this choose your own adventure and you find out that only 20% of your audience really fits that bill. And then 80% of your audience is hungry for something else. So it might actually be good trends, good data trends that tell you, hey, I need to pivot my solution or pivot my products to serve this audience that I already have. I have an audience who's looking to build muscle, and here I am focusing on weight loss. Or I have an audience that needs to, get specific financing, but here I am focusing on improving your credit score. So like it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. But once you start digging into those trends, it shows you some really interesting stuff.
Sure. And so like in our world, for example, we deal with business credit, we deal with financing. So it helps us segment and decide the ones that are interested in getting loans and credit lines versus the ones that are interested in building their business credit.
Sure.
And then that way we can speak to one or the other about that specific message. And then the people, because if you're not, then you're talking to people about a bunch of stuff they don't really care about. And then I imagine you lose that engagement. They stop opening, they stop clicking, they stop really caring about what you say if you do it the wrong way.
Yeah, for the people who opt into that kind of choose your own adventure mode, we see engagement rates on the follow-up campaigns significantly higher than the people who choose not to choose their own adventure, right? So once they take that first action, that's a micro commitment, a micro action that they're taking. And we typically see that engagement, that initial engagement bleed through into future engagement. So knowing that they're on a tailored path oftentimes helps them continue to stay engaged with the content that you're delivering. Not to mention, now that it's personalized, they're getting better content.
Yeah, and I want to talk a lot more about features and things and that are possible with this. But let's start at the basics. I mean,
sure.
I hope that everybody listening and watching has an email funnel. I really hope that everybody does. But let's say that people don't. I mean, the overwhelming idea of writing all of this content, they may think they have to write 200 emails to create a year sequence. What do you do in that scenario when you're working with clients that are just getting started? What's the dip the toe in the water where it's not overwhelming for people to get started with creating the content that they can then put into a funnel to start educating potential customers?
Yeah, totally. That's a great question. I have a couple simple kind of starter funnels or starter campaigns that I recommend for people who are just getting started. The presumption here is that you have a website, right? So you have to have a website first and foremost. Ideally, you have your own web domain. I always recommend to you that you email from your own web domain. So if it's tomtatejr.com, I'm emailing from tom@tomtatejr.com, not tom@gmail.com, right? It just, it helps with your credibility. It also helps with your email deliverability. So website, web domain, perfect essentials. Then I recommend, if, hopefully you're creating some type of content, you're creating a podcast, your podcast is a library of content that serves an audience, that educates an audience, that reaches new people, that brings people into your ecosystem, right? Your funnel, in some ways. That's really important. So whether you have a blog or a podcast, or a YouTube series, or maybe you just produce really good engaging content on Twitter or LinkedIn or Medium or social media sites, you should be producing attractive, relevant, educational content. So I recommend those are kind of starter points, bar none. But then after that, what you want to do is you want to take your best content. And I recommend, if you have no lead magnet, no incentive to join your list, you're not ready to create your own 30-day series or boot camp or anything like that, to compile your greatest hits, right? Take your best content, the things that are unique to you, the things that have proven to be valuable to other people. Maybe you're a subject matter expert in a certain thing. If you have your 5 most popular blog posts, or even your top blog post, doesn't even have to be 5. Take that content, put it into a Google Doc. Google Doc has some really nice templates if you want to make it look really nice. Doesn't have to. And then export it as a PDF. So now you have a PDF. It's not a 50-page ebook or a 150-page ebook. It's not the ultimate guide to doing a certain thing, but it's a PDF that you can offer your subscribers, your future subscribers, as an incentive to join your email list. If your most popular blog post is the 3 best ways to improve your business credit score today, then save that as a PDF, and now you have sign up to my email list, and I'll send you the 3 best ways to improve your business credit score today. So it's an opportunity for you to repurpose content, create a very simple incentive to join, and then you'll deliver that in the first email that you send, the first automated email that you send. So simple sign up form on your website. You can share that. You can create a landing page, which is another term that people use just for a single page that offers that incentive with a sign up form to join. You'll deliver the incentive. That'll be email number 1. You'll welcome them to the list. And then I recommend for email number 2, think of that as kind of your mixtape, your additional greatest hits. So if somebody's new to you and new to your brand, they don't know all of your old stuff. So you have tons of podcast episodes in your archive. That whole archive is very overwhelming to most people. They're not going to know the difference between a A++ must listen to episode and one that was just pretty good. So if you have, 3 or 4 episodes that you can pull out of your archive, or 3 or 4 blog posts that you think stand out above the rest, take those if they're relevant, put those in an email and say, hey, because you're brand new to the email list, I thought you might appreciate some of my best content. And now you have 3, 4 new pieces of content that person can binge on. And if that person's hungry and has an appetite for solutions and has an appetite for the content that you're delivering, they're going to. And it's similar to Netflix. Like we are very much in a binge-worthy or a relevant bingey culture, where if you give me 4 relevant podcasts that you say are your absolute best, and I'm hooked on the first one I listen to, I'm going to listen to the ones that you recommended. And that's going to get me more invested in you. And it's going to get me closer to wanting to hear more of your content and wanting to subscribe to your podcast and wanting to do business with you and wanting to purchase your products and services. So I think that, step 1, package up one of your best pieces of content. Step 2, drip out more of your archival best works, and continue to provide that value. And then always send an email that opens up interaction. So that's like the 3rd email that I recommend sending, which is like, if you have any questions, hit reply to this email and let me know. So if you have thousands of email subscribers, it might be really hard for you to scale that, because you might not be able to respond to thousands of people hitting reply and asking you a question or answering a question. But if you're just getting started, this is a great way to get closer to your subscribers, to learn more about your subscribers. So send a quick email that says, hey, quick question. That could be the subject line. Hey, Tom, quick question. And then within it, you might say, what topics do you want me to write about? That might be the question. Or what problems are you struggling with? That might be the question. So it's an opportunity for you to say, you don't have to fill out a form. We don't have to schedule a call. Just hit reply to this email. And that's the other beautiful thing about email is like, just hit reply. Like people are accustomed to that. And I'm a real person. I'll answer, I'll read, respond, and we'll start the conversation. So real quick, 3 emails that you can send just to kind of get started with a very simple funnel.
Yeah, and that's a really a lot of detail. I mean, you just basically mapped out an entire content marketing strategy, really.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
One of the things I loved about what you said was this repurposing of content, because I think that's why people are sometimes afraid to get into this. They're like, oh, it's overwhelming. There's so much. But what you're describing is a scenario, and this is what we do too, is where you're able to take one piece of content and then splinter it, like you said, or make it, or not even splinter, make it into and repurpose it for, videos, for webinars, for articles, for blog posts, for emails. So that one piece of content can be used on all these different channels. And then it becomes, as you're describing, worth it. The value is there. It's worth sitting down and writing that ebook or guide. It's worth writing the blog post. It's worth writing it. And I even took a lot of that content and made that into my book, which makes a lot of money now. So this repurposing of content makes it where every entrepreneur could do this and have the time to do it, where it's worth it because they can use that for so many different reasons.
Yeah. And another awesome thing you could do too is if you don't have a blog or you don't have a podcast and you're really just getting started, you could guest blog post or you can be on someone else's podcast. So, if you have somebody come on your podcast, and the episode is really fantastic, it's probably in your interest and that guest's interest for them to include an email in their automated sequence to say, hey, if you're really interested in this subject matter and this topic, you got to check out this episode of the Business Credit and Financing podcast that I was on, because we talked about some amazing things, some killer things. So that could be an email where you're not even sending people directly to your content. you're sending people to someone else's content that you happen to be a part of. So, even if you're just getting started, reach out to a couple of podcasts that you think you might provide value to, and maybe you'll become a guest, and then you can take that episode and you can say, that can be part of your archive, part of your greatest hits mixtape that you're sending out to people. If the content is compelling and really presents a good picture of you and your services and your expertise to your subscribers.
And, to give all the listeners and everybody watching an idea of the power of this, we have something we call the 7-word question email, and Digital Marketer, this came from them as their strategy. And we just send it to our list and just say, hey, are you still interested in building business credit? And that'll get us about 400 leads. I mean, about 400 people will reply and then go to our sales team. And I can't tell you how much is made out of sales from that, from exactly the strategy you're describing of bringing them in and then, getting them used to your content that it provides value, warming them up, providing that education. And then when you do what you're describing, it becomes this massive asset that then allows you to tap into when you need sales, when you need business, whatever it may be, to then pull those people out where they willingly want to speak to you because, like you mentioned, you built the trust, you built the credibility, you built the rapport. So now you're describing a world where you flip the script where instead of selling to people, they're coming to you wanting to do business with you because you've established yourself as a credible expert.
Yeah. And then, it goes beyond the sale too. Like I always use this example when I bought my first house. I worked with this woman who helped service my mortgage, and I ended up on her email list. So she continued to send me monthly updates on what's happening in the mortgage world. I had no interest or no need for that content specifically, right? Because of I bought my house, right? I didn't need a mortgage. I already had it serviced. But I didn't unsubscribe for some reason. I kind of continued to stay on the list. And she left the place where she was at and someone else came in. So all of a sudden I continued to get these emails, but from a different person that I never met before. And then I had a few friends of mine as they were getting ready to purchase their first house ask me, who'd you use for your mortgage? Is there any way that I can get a reference? And I ended up referring this guy that I never met because he's in my inbox. It's relevant. The organization that they were with, they did a good job servicing me. So I felt it was credible. The content that he was sending me, I had no need for it, but it was very credible. And his expertise clearly showed through in the emails that he was sending. So you can continue to build a referral engine and a top of mind marketing engine by continuing to stay in the inbox with relevant information, even beyond the sale, but beyond that initial purchase.
Yeah, there's so much power to what you said, because the interesting thing is that, look, it doesn't matter what happens to those emails. Even if you get them and you delete them or you put them into a different folder, the minute somebody asks you or you need that mortgage, you still know exactly where to go to search to get those emails. So you can't lose there. And I use real estate as a common example. Are you really going to call the one on the park bench, right? Or are you going to call the one that's taught you how appraisals work, how to buy a home, how to find the right closing agent? Those are the ones you trust, because most of what you know about buying a home, that person taught you through email and these little bits and pieces that you've absorbed. So it becomes, like you said, a no-brainer. You're the obvious choice at that point. And then you feel bad for all the people marketing to them because they stand no chance of winning their business.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
What about getting away from selling? What about prospecting? I mean, what are you guys seeing that's effective after the sale is made for retention, for other purposes other than just prospecting to get that initial sale, upsells, all the other things that are possible there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for us, we're a software product, right? So one of the things that we absolutely do is we have a pretty robust onboarding sequence when somebody signs up for a trial to help people get to know the product really well, right? And engage with specific aspects of the product that we want to have them engage with, that we know typically yield a successful customer of ours. So if you have somebody who made the initial purchase, making sure that they're continuing to find value out of their initial purchase or the initial service that they paid for is definitely something that you can automate as well. So when somebody is in a pre-sales sequence or a pre-education sequence, you're leading them towards the purchase. But once they actually make it past that threshold, you can use the same tactics, the same system, right? You can send an automated sequence of emails just triggered from the point of sale to make sure that they engage with the product or engage with the service in specific ways. And those emails, they don't have to be as frequent. You could have monthly automated check-ins. If real estate's a good example, if somebody purchased a home with you, maybe just having a 90-day check-in is an interesting way just to say, hey, it's been a couple months, hope everything's going well. You don't even have to specifically, offer any new education or new content or new products or services. It's just a good opportunity to automate a check-in, just to make sure that they're happy and they're satisfied and everything's going well. And again, a lot of that is the top of mind marketing, keeping them really close to your brand and letting them know that you're available and you have their interests and your interests. So I think that a lot of it is using email to make sure that they're getting value and continue to get value out of the products and services, but also reminding them that you're available and reminding them that you care. So that it's not just like, hey, I made the sale and you're never going to hear from me as a brand or hear from me as a business again. I got what I wanted out of you. That's not really a good relationship, So I think that just continuing to build on that relationship over time is something you could definitely do with email automation as well.
I'm reading this great book called Never Lose a Customer Again. I can't think about the author, but it talks about this. It's really great because it talks about how buyer's remorse is really real, and people go through these stages after the purchase where if you're not there for them during that stage, you lose the customer, all these things happen. So we actually were trying to improve retention and figure things out and have exactly what you described. And what we realized was that when they enrolled, we stopped marketing, we stopped sending them emails.
Yeah.
And there was such a pain of disconnect from them stopping that when we built in follow-up and said, hey, this is what you're going to deal with in this stage, and don't worry, and overcoming objections for their place, it was astonishing, like 70% open rates. We have 100% click-through rates on emails. I've never seen that before.
Wow. Yeah.
And retention increased by over 30% by taking email from front end to back end. So there's so much value to what you're describing.
And referrals too. That's another thing as well is it's that post-sale engagement and nurturing that really turns your customers into, you'll hear this a lot, but you're turning your customers into advocates or raving fans, and it's important. And I know it's kind of cliche at this point because so many marketers talk about it, but that post-sale engagement and email, again, is just a great vehicle for it, is really going to get them closer to it. And the other thing to think about too is your competitors are not sleeping. Your competitors are out there and they're working to turn your existing customers into their existing customers. And I think that, if your competitors aren't sleeping, but from the inbox and the perspective of your current customers, you are sleeping, you might wake up one day and realize that you're losing some of your current customers to your competition. Which you don't necessarily want to do, right?
Yeah. And getting the referral because you're giving them still goodwill after the fact sets them up where they want to do that. And then, like you said, in scenarios where you're a mortgage broker, you might not see these people for 3 to 5 years. So being able to regularly stay in front of them, so when they do have somebody to refer or they are ready again, you're not going to remember somebody typically 5 years ago that helped you with a mortgage, but by staying in front of them, you're just in a place where it's easy to access, easy for them to remember, easy for them to come and get your information. So you can retain that customer longer, get the more referrals, and will hopefully not have to worry about losing them to a competitor.
Yeah.
What other things are we missing here? I mean, we talked a lot about some really cool features, but what else are you seeing technology-wise happen with us with email that are newer, that are game changers, or things that maybe aren't newer, but we haven't talked about that are other tools that could be at, for example, your client's disposal to help them grow their business?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing, this is not really a specific tool or anything like that, or a shiny new object, shiny new piece of technology, but one trend that I see in a lot of industries becoming kind of a mainstay, and I see a lot of people finding success with this, is moving away from that kind of branded email template, kind of like a stylized, designed email newsletter template with the logo and a lot of images and the background color and big blocks of content. There are a lot of industries where that template is really valuable. So if you're in retail, if you have specific products, if you're in real estate and you're showing images of properties and such. But if you're sending these types of educational emails or these personal emails, even if they're automated, I'm seeing a movement more closer towards like personal note style emails where they look like somebody just popped open Gmail and sent you a quick email. And what that is like, I think psychologically you're creating a connection with your subscribers that, you really aren't this conglomerate or this business or this brand, this faceless brand, who's sending you content that's trying to get you to make a sale or a purchase or engage with a brand, sending you promotional emails. It really does start to feel like you are a person, you are a human being, sending educational content or engaging content to another human being. And I think that it might seem trivial, but I do start to see a lot of industries and a lot of marketers move away from kind of that branded email template to a very simple, plain style, personal note style template. And what it also does for you as the creator of those emails is it simplifies it. So it makes it a lot easier for you to create them. You're not spending a lot of time constructing emails, dragging images in, getting the design just right. So if you've been slow to get started with email marketing because of design, you're not a designer, you don't know how to get started with a template, just consider sending a really plain style email, really easy to get started with and might actually resonate with your subscribers a little bit better anyways.
And you guys have a lot of templates as well. I mean, you guys have a lot of, is it cut and paste, plug and play? If somebody's getting started with you guys, do they have to design a lot of this stuff from scratch, or is it a matter of just they pop open a template, they put in the content, they build the sequence with a few clicks and they're off?
Yeah, for sure. So we service so many different types of businesses. So we have hundreds of templates that meet the needs of different niches or different industries. But then we also have the really plain style stationary types templates that you can use if you want to send those personal note style ones. But we have a drag and drop builder, so it really makes it easy for you to just kind of drag and drop your content in. It's just like using any other word processor, like whether it's WordPress or Google Docs to kind of create that email. You can do a quick test and then schedule and send. So we make it super easy for you to do it. But yeah, the tools, you never want the tools to get in your way. You always want the tools to be working for you and not against you, which is one of the main things that we really aim for here.
Tom, what do we haven't we talked about? What are some parting thoughts as we get ready to wrap up that are important regarding email and automation that we haven't had a chance to dive into?
Yeah, I mean, just general best practices. I'm always against the kind of do not reply at yourdomain.com. Email should be kind of an open door, like a one-to-one engagement communication tool. So, whenever you have that do not reply email address, you're basically telling your subscribers, I don't want to hear from you. And it might be important for like an Amazon.com to have that to limit volume and that type of thing. But for you, if you're just getting started or if you're trying to engage with your subscribers, make sure you don't have that. Be mindful of your unengaged subscribers, right? So you can greatly improve your deliverability, which is the likelihood that your emails hit the inbox, by kind of pruning your email list from time to time. And one of the things we recommend is just taking a look at that. And, my example with the person who serviced my mortgage, that email wasn't super relevant for me. And I stayed on that list for a really long time. But I'm kind of a different case, because I'm kind of a student of email, but the average person might click spam on that email and you don't want that, right? So making sure that your emails, they have a clear, unsubscribe link, and you invite people, hey, if this email is no longer relevant for you, click here to unsubscribe. You kind of want to encourage unsubscribes, which feels a little counterintuitive for a marketer or a salesperson who wants volume. They want people on their list. But it's actually better to make sure that people want to be on your list. So if they don't want to be on your list, it's better to encourage them to unsubscribe than click spam. So that's one of the main things that we didn't really talk about that I think is important is, volume is helpful. And having a large list is helpful in reaching a lot of people, but you want to make sure you reach the right people and you want to make sure people are on your list and stay on your list for the right reasons. So just having a strong CTA to say or call to action to say, hey, if this is no longer relevant for you, no worries, just click here and unsubscribe.
Tom, where can everybody go to learn more about AWeber and to learn more about, in general, email marketing?
Yeah, totally. So AWeber, AWeber.com. you'll find our website and our service. You'll learn all about the product and the tools. But I always recommend go to blog.aweber.com because we have an amazing content team here, and we are constantly putting out educational content to help email marketers or digital marketers, entrepreneurs, people who are just getting started or people who are ready to kind of break that plateau into the next level. We are constantly putting out new content. And, we had a podcast for a little bit. We're hoping to bring that back in 2019. That was called Ask Me About Email Marketing. The archive is in the iTunes store if you want to check that out. But yeah, just check out blog.aweber.com and keep up with some of our content.
Thanks for coming on with us today.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome. My favorite topic.
Me too. I love email marketing, and it's surprising that we've never talked about this topic on the show before. So everybody listening, remember, it's all about taking action. So make sure you visit aweber.com, and make sure you also check out blog.aweber.com. I'll have a link to both of those on the show resources page. I cannot tell you, if there was a lot of people ask me this on podcasts, if I had it to start over, what would I do? What is the one thing I would do? How would I start a business with no money? And my answer to all the questions is the same. Start with a good email funnel. And instead of trying to figure these things out on your own, then Aweber is a great place to start with getting everything you need to create it, even being able to get the education of what type of email in what order to create. So whether you're getting started with them or you're even just going to aweber.com or blog.aweber.com, make sure you take some action, because I do believe that this is the number one most important thing every single business should do. And it's especially important to differentiate yourself, to become an educator and stop the selling. And when you do that, then it changes the whole world and customers are coming to you instead of you trying to be down their door. So make sure you visit aweber.com and also visit blog.aweber.com to learn more. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.